On the morning of February 1st, a massive chain reaction crash involving over 100 vehicles took place on the Yellow River Bridge section of the Taihui Expressway in Henan Province, China. The accident was severe, causing major traffic paralysis. Officials said that icy roads caused by a drop in temperature across much of China have led to multiple serious rear-end collisions. However, weather was not the only factor. Many pointed out that this year's travel patterns were unusual. Large numbers of people who had returned home for Chinese New Year left earlier than usual, leading to heavy traffic, congestion, and a spike in accidents. A Chinese TikToker remarked, "Smart people left early, but when they got on the highway, they found out it was full of smart people." The Chinese New Year holiday is only halfway through, but as of February 1st, the fourth day of the holiday, crowds of workers have already started heading back to cities. Trains and highways are packed, especially with workers from the Pearl River Delta returning early. Some migrant workers said they wanted to avoid the peak travel rush, while others said they left early because of the struggling economy and the need to start earning again as soon as possible.
Have you noticed yet? The return after Chinese New Year seems a bit unusual this year. In previous years, people usually left around the 6th or 7th day of the holiday, but this year, some people went back to work on the first day of the holiday. By the 4th and 5th days, the roads were already packed. Why? Some say it's to make money and get back to work early. Others joked that they just couldn't stand staying at home any longer. I've already been to 2 banquets since the new year, and there's another one tomorrow. I'm planning to eat and leave right after. There's even another one on the 10th day of the holiday. Who knows? I might just keep scrolling through Douyin and some other one will pop up. Better to leave now. Some people also said that they were panicking because they had no money. I don't want to go visit relatives or wish anyone a happy new year. I'd rather just go back early, stay in my small place, and quietly scroll through my phone. As for me, I'll also return to Shanghai on the 5th day of the holiday and will go back to work on the 8th. I had no choice. I need to make money. What about you? Have you headed back yet?
Another TikToker also mentioned that the timing for returning after the holiday seems off this year. Have you noticed? The timing for returning after the holiday seems off this year. Normally, people don't head back until at least the 7th or 8th day of the holiday. But this year, it's strange. Some people had their reunion dinner on the first day, visited relatives on the second day, and by the 3rd or 4th day, they were already rushing back. In the past, this would have been unthinkable. But this year, it's turned into a peak travel time. A woman in her 20s who worked in customer service said she went home on New Year's Eve but returned on the first day of the holiday. She stayed at home for only 24 hours.
The sky's falling. I returned on the first day of the holiday this year. I spent less than 24 hours at home. I arrived at 8 p.m. on New Year's Eve, and by 7 p.m. on the first day of the holiday, I was already on the train back. Why did I leave so early? Because when I packed my suitcase to bring food for my little brother, I accidentally left my work laptop at my rented place. So during the holiday, I couldn't respond to customer messages. My salary is already low, less than 3,000 yuan a month. If I can't reply to messages, they will deduct my pay. That's why I had to return after just one day.
A TikToker in Shenzhen said the fact that many people returned to Shenzhen earlier than usual was unprecedented. He analyzed the reasons behind it. This year, Shenzhen feels very strange. A lot of people who went home for the New Year returned on the first or second day. Let me share a real experience, and you might relate. Going home for the holiday is mostly about emotions. After staying home for a few days, you realize it's all about eating, drinking, and playing mahjong. After just 2 or 3 days, you're already exhausted. Gatherings with relatives, friends, or classmates are mostly just small talk. People might feel awkward asking what you do or about your business. To be honest, many people don't really care about your work or your life. They focus on your appearance, how much you earn, what car you drive. Few actually care about how you're really doing. So if you have work or a business in Shenzhen, it feels like the only place you can truly feel at ease. Even if your work or business is temporarily on hold, you feel a sense of peace when you're back in Shenzhen, a place where you can strive for something. That's why so many people rushed back to Shenzhen on the first, second, and third days of the holiday. According to the China Railway Wuhan Group, large numbers of migrant workers were traveling on February 1st. Passenger flow is expected to rise by 100,000 per day until February 4th, the last day of the holiday. China Railway Guangzhou Group also reported a sharp rise in travel demand for family visits, tourism, and work-related trips starting January 31st, the third day of the holiday. China State Railway Group estimated that 13.3 million trips will be made by train on February 1st alone, with 791 additional trains added to meet demand. Highways were also impacted, with traffic jams reported on routes from Hunan to Guangdong, as well as on major highways leading into Hangzhou. The Ministry of Transport estimated that 308 million trips will be made across different regions on February 1st. Of those, 290 million were on road, while 2.4 million were by air. Some online commentators questioned whether returning early was really worth it. Did you notice? The post-holiday rush to return to work has started earlier this year. Many people were already rushing back to the city on the second day of the holiday. What's driving them? Well, there are a few reasons. Some think that leaving on the second day means less traffic and they can save on toll fees. It's a trick everyone knows. Others feel like the holiday is over by the second day and want to get back early to adjust to work. Then there are those who just want to escape the complicated social dynamics at home. Classmate reunions, constant comparisons, relatives asking too many questions. It's just a lot of pressure. Going back early gives them peace and quiet. And some friends spend all their money eating and drinking during the holiday. Their wallets are empty. If they keep pretending they're doing well, they'll get exposed. So, with no other choice, they return early. A TikToker said that no matter the excuse, people always claim they need to go back to make money. But can they really earn more by going back? The market hasn't returned to normal yet, and most people are still on holiday. Orders are low, and many industries haven't even started up again. Returning early means not only missing out on earning opportunities, but also wasting valuable time with family. For business owners, returning early may be understandable. However, for ordinary workers earning 5,000 yuan a month, returning early may not be necessary. At roughly 167 yuan a day, and after accounting for meals, the actual earnings are minimal. Staying home could potentially save more. The TikToker believes that for most workers, returning early is not essential. One TikToker said that people who have already gone home for the holiday should not come back to work. It's hard for regular people to find good jobs outside. It's only the 5th day of the holiday and many people are already heading back to work. I don't know what's going on with these people. They just got home on the 28th or 29th, and now by the 3rd, 4th, or 5th day, they're already heading back to work. What's the point of going home if you're just going to leave so soon? If things were really good at home, you wouldn't be rushing back to work. If there's no job at home, then you shouldn't have gone back in the first place. I know that there's no work at my place, so I didn't go home. I didn't have to rush to buy train tickets or crowd onto a train. It's only the 5th day, and many people are already heading to Dongguan. The truth is, a lot of people here don't have jobs and need to find one. They worked hard all year to save a little money, only to spend it all during the holiday. They go back to work, but by the end of the year, they've got nothing left, except for the fact that they're a year older. So if you can help it, try not to go home for the holiday. And of course, if you can avoid it, don't work away from home. If you're working away from home, don't even think about going home for the holiday. And once you go home for the holiday, don't think about returning to work right away. Another TikToker warned that people who have already returned home for the holiday should not come back to work. Jobs are very hard to find right now.
If
you have no education, no skills, no connections, no background, and no resources, then leaving home for work will be very challenging. Dongguan is known for its manufacturing industry, but it lacks people with education, background, skills, connections, and resources. For regular people with nothing but the will to work hard, it's tough to find a job here. In Dongguan, the base salary for a factory worker is about 2,000 yuan a month. After working overtime, you might make a little more, but even then, it's just a few extra yuan per hour. Even if you work every day and put in 3 or 4 extra hours of overtime, you're only going to make about 4,000 to 5,000 yuan a month. If you're dreaming of earning 6,000, 7,000, or even 10,000 yuan, forget about it. It's just a small amount of money. You still need to pay for things, food, electricity, rent, and it doesn't leave you with much. So if you've already gone home, try not to come back out to work. If you can work from home, then stay at home. If you've got education, skills, connections, and resources, then go ahead. But if you're just a regular person, it's best to avoid coming out to work. A TikToker posted saying that people over 60 should not go out looking for work if they don't have a stable job. Instead, they should consider farming at home. Why go out and suffer? Many employers don't even accept people over 60. Since the third quarter of 2024, many small and micro enterprises in China, including long-established companies with decades of history, have gone bankrupt. High production costs, labor, environmental compliance, and fluctuating raw material prices have weighed heavily on companies, ultimately forcing them to exit the market. This has already taken away job opportunities for many migrant workers. Before the holiday, many factories closed early due to a lack of orders. In fact, in the months leading up to the holiday, many people traveling to major train stations in China noticed that more people than usual were carrying luggage and returning to their rural hometowns. Conversely, train tickets for the new year, which went on sale in mid-January, had more available seats, and stations weren't as crowded as usual. Many of these people had lost their jobs and hadn't been able to find new ones, so they had no choice but to return home early. Before the holiday, many people from rural areas or lower-tier cities had already returned to their small town homes. Some went back to the farm, but most just sat around doing nothing. They spent their time either scrolling through Douyin, Chinese version of TikTok, playing games, or drinking and playing cards, not knowing what to do with themselves. This young person said, "I really don't want to leave home to find work anymore. I get nothing out of it. But if I don't go out, the wages at home are too low. There's no choice, only one path forward. It's a tough situation." Another man who'd returned home early before the holiday posted a video saying, "I've decided not to leave for work anymore. I'm staying with my parents, my wife, and my kids. If my life is unsuccessful, so be it." Many middle-aged and young people from rural areas who returned home early for Chinese New Year had a choice to make: stay in the city or go back to the countryside. Some decided to stay in the city because they didn't want to give up the relatively better job opportunities there. But a more practical reason for staying was the high costs of returning home, including travel expenses, gifts, and red envelopes, which would be more expensive than staying in the city. As a result, these people chose to stay in the city. However, economic recovery remains uncertain, and so do their futures. Some people posted videos saying, "There are over 300 days until the next New Year. Are you still going out to work? Well, I'm not going." It's already February. What are you doing still looking for work? If you go out looking for a job, it'll be April before you find anything. Then they'll withhold your salary for a month, and it will be May. By the time you get your May salary, you'll need to pay back the money you borrowed for your travel expenses. It'll be June. And you'll be paying rent, utilities, and living expenses for the month. This year will be over in just over 300 days. And soon enough, you'll be back home for the next holiday. You'll probably spend more money on the way back, and when you get home, you'll treat your friends to food and drinks. By the end of the year, you won't have a single penny left. The number of college graduates in China in 2025 is expected to hit a record high of 12.2 million, 430,000 more than last year, bringing more attention to the issue of youth unemployment. Many of these graduates are children of farmers or people from rural areas. Back in 2023, the job market was especially tough, and many college graduates had no choice but to stay home and rely on their parents, making living off parents a common phenomenon. In early 2024, the Chinese government changed its method of calculating youth employment rates, excluding students still in school from the unemployment statistics. Those who couldn't find jobs and had to rely on their parents for pocket money were categorized as non-economic participants and excluded from the unemployment rate statistics. According to Gao Shanwen, the chief economist at Anxin Securities, during an investment seminar in Shenzhen last year, around 47 million urban workers in China couldn't find formal jobs over the past 3 years. He noted that China is full of vibrant elderly people, disheartened young people, and middle-aged people who have lost their will to live. Economic observer Cai Shin-kun, based in Seattle, US, told Radio Free Asia that China's actual unemployment situation is far worse than the surface statistics suggest. Gao Shanwen mentioned 47 million, but I believe the number of people who can't find a job or have lost job opportunities has already far exceeded 100 million. This is a very harsh reality in China. American economist David Huang stated that China's domestic economic structure has been following the so-called state advances, private retreats model in recent years. He pointed out that state-owned enterprises lack vitality, while the private sector, which is more dynamic, continues to be squeezed. Additionally, China's main profit markets, the EU and the US, are becoming increasingly tense in trade relations with China. The Russia-Ukraine war has also led many businesses to take sides, with fewer of them choosing China. As a result, China's economic outlook for 2025 is very bleak. Huang further explained that, according to historical economic patterns, China's planned economy and its heavy bureaucratic system, where outsiders manage industries they don't understand, lead to inefficiencies in governance. If structural reforms are not carried out and China does not shift to a system dominated by private enterprises and private economies, the country may face even greater economic downward pressure. Furthermore, China's economy could drift further away from the global economy, and there's a risk of a broader economic crisis.